The courtroom is quiet, the type of quiet that makes you hear every heartbeat reverberate in the air. Kody Brown sits rigidly at the defense table, his hands so tightly interlocked, the knuckles are white. Christine, Janelle, and Meri sit across from him, no longer wives but witnesses to the man they once loved with all they had. The judge glances down at the papers in front of him, brow furrowing as he recites the amount aloud. $19 million. You see Kody's jaw spasm. Robyn whispers something in his ear, but he doesn't shift. His universe, money, family, fame, is crashing right before his eyes under the harsh fluorescent lights of a courtroom. The scandal that began as a subtle financial transaction had spiraled into the greatest betrayal the Brown family had ever seen. What started as just business had evolved into a nightmare of fraud, disappearing money, and shattered trust. The judge's voice slices through the silence like a knife. Mr. Brown, this court commands you to pay $19 million in restitution to the defrauded family members and investors. There's a gasp, sudden, collective, shock. Christine shuts her eyes, like she'd suspected all along that this day would come. Janelle mutters softly to herself. Finally, no one anticipated how deep this scandal really went. It was never only about money, it was about loyalty, deception, and love manipulated into blackmail. In that instant, Kody's confident smile, the one viewers saw for years on Sister Wives, is gone. What's left is fear. Real, raw fear. He looks at the camera crew positioned in the rear corner of the room. More than a decade of his life had been televised. Every fight, every cry, every spiritual union, on TV for the world to see. But this was something else. No do-overs, no confessional edits, just reality. And reality was going to kill him. Behind him, Robyn is crying. Her skin is wan, her hands shaking. She'd remained loyal to Kody during the divorce spectacles, the fan outrage, the continuous media firestorms. But $19 million, even she hadn't anticipated that. Christine's attorney stands up to address the court, her tone smooth but surgical. Your Honor, my client simply desires what is right. Years of cheating and deception cannot go unrewarded. Kody's eyes flash up, the face of a man who knows the game is over. Judge forces Kody to repay $19 million fraud scandal loss. That's what the tomorrow's headlines will scream. But today, this is more than a headline. This is the day Kody Brown finally receives the consequences of his own creation. The question is, who blew the whistle? Stay with me, because what is about to happen will make you perceive the Brown family in a way you never could have imagined. The gavel comes down with a loud thud, ringing through the courtroom like thunder. The sound makes even the cameraman in the corner jump. The voice of the judge, low and measured, is one of finality. Court is adjourned. For a second, no one stirs. Kody Brown just sits there, fixed on the shiny wood of the table, as if the solution to everything would somehow materialize there. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't even blink. Christine stands. Her steps are firm, though you can spot the tremble in her hands. She'd waited for years for this day, to see the man who once vowed forever to her at last account. And yet, looking at him, she doesn't sense triumph. She senses something a great deal heavier. Janelle approaches Christine, whispering, "It's done. It's finally done." Christine nods, though she keeps her gaze on Kody. Nothing about this feels done. Sometimes justice doesn't heal you. It just shows you how deep the scars go. Meri, quietly sitting in the back, observes the drama play out. She has said nothing during the trial, keeping herself out of the limelight she once sought. The Meri who once stood up for Kody's decisions is no longer there. What remains is a woman who has learned to guard herself. She tightens her coat, her face expressionless. When the reporters surge toward her, she turns away and strides past them, her heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. Meanwhile, Kody slowly gets up from his chair. Robyn is holding on to his arm, begging him something in hushed tones, but he doesn't react. Cameras are ready, they always are, but this time he doesn't deliver. His voice, when it does finally arrive, is empty. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he mumbles. Christine spins around, her tone even but sarcastic. "You always say that, Kody. You never mean for anything to occur. It just does." Her words cut through the space. Robyn's face goes red, and she looks like she might counter. But the moment is gone. The Brown family, That once present collective on TV now appears like strangers standing in common turmoil. And the storm was only just beginning. Outside the courthouse, tension fills the air, and flashing lights. Pundits yell out questions, cameras snap, and microphones are thrust in all directions. Kody holds up a hand, attempting to cover his face. Mr. Brown, is it a fact that you spent family money on personal ventures? Did your wives have any knowledge of the missing funds? Are you still with Robyn? He stands there silent. Robyn attempts to move him toward the waiting SUV. But Christine's words halt him in his tracks. You built your empire on our trust, Kody. Now it's gone. That line, powerful, raw, and impeccably timed, is the banner headline of the evening. You built your empire on our trust. Now it's gone. At home in the subdued Flagstaff living room, Janelle settles into the couch, gazing at the muted television. The ticker scrolls. Kody Brown ordered to repay $19 million in fraud scandal. Her phone buzzes with messages from fans, friends, even her own kids, but she doesn't answer. She thinks about the years she spent trying to make sense of Kody's decisions, the countless family meetings where money was discussed in whispers and half-truths. She remembers how every time she questioned him, he'd brush it off with a smile. Janelle, trust me, I've got this under control. Now, sitting in the silence, she realizes he never did. Trust is the most costly thing you can lose, and the most difficult thing to regain. Meanwhile, in another Flagstaff corner, Christine is pacing her kitchen. The children are asleep, and the night seems interminable. Her phone flashes messages from producers. TLC wants her response for the next Sister Wives special. She sighs. For years the cameras had been her prison, but now they could be her liberty. She gazes out the window. The darkness of the desert night extending infinitely beyond Coyote Pass, the country that was meant to represent their bond, now a monument to their destruction. At the same time, Kody is sitting by himself in his car in front of his and Robyn's house. The headlights are not turned on. The house shines softly inside, but he can't bring himself to enter as yet. He glares at his reflection in the window. The man who aspired to head a family and lost them all. His thoughts are bitter, frantic. He says to himself, they don't understand. None of them do. But deep inside, he knows they do. They know too well. When the deceptions finally fall apart, the truth doesn't liberate you. It devastates you first. As Kody finally steps inside, Robyn awaits him, eyes teary with redness. We'll make it right, she speaks softly. But her voice trembles, betraying the terror in her words. Kody doesn't answer. He puts down his briefcase, opens the drawer, and retrieves the financial documents he's been keeping under wraps for months. On top of the first page, in bold, are the names of his investors, men he trusted, and men who trusted him. Below that, written in red ink, one line stands out. Total loss, $19,002,457. His hands shake. The figure seems fantastical, but the destruction is real. He leans over and whispers, how did it come to this? As the darkness closes in, he sits by himself at the table, surrounded by paper, memory, and silence. The clock ticking on the wall grows louder with each ticking second. He has no idea yet, but tomorrow yet another secret will arise, one that will ruin whatever is left of the Brown legacy. Stay tuned, because the next bombshell will rock everything. The courthouse is a different place the next morning. The hum of anticipation vibrates through the air like electricity. Reporters stand on the steps, buzzing about what's about to happen. The testimony. Inside, the lights are more intense, the tension keener. Kody Brown walks in, wearing the same gray suit yesterday, though it's now rumpled, the color wiped from his face. Robyn accompanies him, sunglasses on her puffy eyes. Behind them, Christine, Janelle, and Meri settle in, apart but together in silent defiance. The bailiff shouts, all rise. Kody glances toward the gallery, where his children sit, some looking angry, others simply heartbroken. The cameras are rolling again. Every tear, every tremor, every whisper, all captured for the world to see. The judge clears his throat. We'll begin with the testimonies regarding the alleged misappropriation of funds tied to the Coyote Pass project. That simple word, Coyote Pass, makes everyone shift uncomfortably. What had been intended to be the family's dream estate had been the center of their horror. Christine comes in first to testify. She appears serene, collected, but the anguish in her eyes is impossible to overlook. Her attorney advances. Mrs. Brown, can you tell the court what you learned in 2022 about your family members' joint investments? Christine takes a deep breath. We all put our mark on that property, she starts. All of us. Kody told us it was for the future. A home for all our children. But when I finally got a look at the papers, the majority of it was in his and Robyn's names. The rest of us weren't even mentioned as owners. The room grumbles. Kody looks at her with an angry glare, but she doesn't back down. The truth does not require volume. It's eloquent on its own. Christine goes on, her tone firm. And when I questioned him about it, he said not to worry, that it was for legal protection. But what I discovered later, he had borrowed money against our family property as collateral. The prosecutor holds up a piece of paper, a loan contract, stamped and signed by Kody Brown. So, to clarify, you're saying your husband borrowed millions in private loans using family property as collateral without your permission? Christine nods. Yes, that's precisely what I'm saying. Kody pounds his hand on the table, his voice escalating. That's a falsehood. I was shielding our future. The judge's gavel bangs sharply. Mr. Brown, you'll remain silent unless called to testify. The silence afterward is chilling. Robyn lowers her head. Meri and Janelle exchange glances, not of surprise, but of quiet validation. They'd known something was wrong for years, but hearing it laid out like this feels different. Then Janelle testifies. She's calm, practical as ever. I balance the books for the family businesses, she says, pushing her glasses up her nose. For years, I saw imbalances, missing figures, unexplained withdrawals. When I'd speak to Kody about it, he'd always make some excuse about production expenses or legal fees, but nothing ever quite added up. Did you ever confront him directly? The prosecutor asks. Janelle nods. Yes, many times, but Kody had this ability to make you feel guilty for questioning him. He'd say things like, "You're doubting your husband's leadership." Eventually I stopped asking. Her voice cracks a little, the weight of years bearing down. That's what hurts the most. Not the money, but how easy it was for him to manipulate all of us. Sometimes betrayal doesn't happen all at once. It grows slowly, disguised as love. The audience is silent. Even the reporters stop typing for a moment. Then it's Meri's turn. She walks to the stand, her heels clicking softly. Her face is calm but unreadable. Years of emotional endurance etched into every line. Meri, the prosecutor starts. You've known Kody the longest. Can you tell us when you first suspected financial impropriety? Meri puts her hands together. It was after the divorce, she whispers. When Kody formally married Robyn, he told me it was to assist with her kids' adoption. But after that, I started seeing things shift. Bank accounts were shut down. Business accounts transferred. I no longer had access to anything. She shoots a glance at Kody, whose gaze is lowered. He didn't just divorce me in the legal sense, he disowned me financially. Entirely. A shiver runs through the courtroom. Even Robyn is shaken. The prosecutor goes on. Mrs. Brown, did you subsequently discover that the money was diverted into new business ventures in Robyn's name? Meri nods slowly. Yes. Jewelry companies, online stores, even a couple shell companies I didn't recognize. When I asked Kody, he said, "You're not part of that side of the family anymore." Her voice cracks on that last word. Family, money splits quicker than heartache, because it makes love into possession. By now the air is thick. Kody appears smaller in his chair, his assurance wearing away with each statement. Then the judge calls him in. The whole room is going to gasp. Kody stands, pats down his tie, and steps out into the crowd like a man going into battle. Mr. Brown, the judge starts. Did any of your family investments finance business ventures outside the family without telling anyone? Kody lets out a deep breath. Yes, but not for selfish reasons. I was attempting to save the family, keep it afloat. Do you think TV money is eternal? It isn't. Why conceal it? He stops, his jaw clenched. Because they never saw my vision. The prosecutor nods. Your vision cost them $19 million. Kody's silence speaks volumes. The judge leans forward. Mr. Brown, the evidence portrays a clear-cut intent to defraud not just investors, but your very family. How do you explain? Kody's eyes brim with tears. I was trying to keep everyone together. That's all I ever wanted. Christine's voice rings out softly from the gallery. No, Kody, you wanted control. That's all you ever wanted. Control can masquerade as love, until it devastates you. The room falls silent once more. For what feels like a long time, no one says a word. Then quietly, the judge adds, "This court will reconvene tomorrow for sentencing." As the gavel comes down, Kody slumps back in his chair, his face buried in his hands. Robyn lays her hand on his shoulder, but he doesn't react. The once proud patriarch of sister wives is now just another man trapped in the snare of his own construction. Outside, Christine walks into the sunlight. Reporters swarm her, but she only smiles weakly and quotes, "Truth has a funny way of coming out, even when you try to bury it." She speaks as the screen darkens to black, paving the way for what is about to come. The sentencing, the secrets, and one last twist that will leave everyone agog. Stay with me, for what's exposed in court tomorrow will shatter every fantasy about Kody Brown's empire. The courtroom was already charged, but nothing could have prepared anyone for what was about to happen. While Kody's defense attorney attempted to regain the reins of the story, the judge dropped a bombshell by calling out a name that electrified the room. "Call your next witness," the judge asserted. The doors swung open, and in walked a woman nobody ever thought they'd see again. Christine Brown. Kody's face turned white. His jaw set. His breathing came faster. Robyn's hand reached for his arm, but he shook her off. The crowd gasped, murmurs cresting like a wave. Christine, composed and unruffled, strode directly to the stand. She was radiant but formidable. Not bitter, not enraged, but determined. She had a message to deliver, and it was obvious she wasn't holding anything back this time. As she extended her right hand and swore, the courtroom became utterly quiet. Kody Brown created a dynasty, she started, but he created it on half-truths, manipulation, and a history of financial domination that harmed not only his wives, but his own children. The gallery exploded. The judge rapped the gavel hard. "Order in the court." Christine went on, shaking but firm. "We believed him. All of us. He said Coyote Pass was our family dream, but secretly he was siphoning off joint account money, paying bills in Robyn's name, and dumping TLC payments into separate LLCs that he alone controlled." Kody's attorney objected on the grounds of irrelevance. "Overruled," replied the judge. The courtroom hummed once more. Christine addressed Kody directly. "And discovered receipts, wire transfers, even text messages between Kody and his accountant, in which he stated, and I quote, 'The others don't need to know. This is for the real family.'" The phrase "real family" sliced through the air like a knife. Meri covered her face. Janelle's lips quivered. Robyn stood stock still. Kody tried to interrupt. "That's not true. She's twisting everything," but the judge silenced him. "Mr. Brown, you'll remain quiet or be held in contempt." Christine held up a small folder. "This isn't emotion, Your Honor. It's evidence." The folder was filled with duplicate financial papers, which showed that Kody had been siphoning money from a business loan for Coyote Pass into a private Arizona real estate fund listed in his name. The amount? Just over $19 million over a few years. Exactly the fraud claims. Tension in the courtroom became electric. Even Kody's attorney appeared to slump in defeat. Robyn started sobbing, whispering, "He said it was all legitimate. I had no idea." The prosecutor next summoned another witness, a man in a gray suit with a purposeful measured gait. He was Kody's ex-financial advisor, Ethan Carlisle. "Mr. Carlisle," the prosecutor started, "describe to the court when you first knew something was amiss." Ethan nodded. "Somewhere around 2 years ago, Kody requested my assistance in moving assets quickly, to make it appear they were separate family members' assets, but all the funds were deposited into accounts that only he had control over. When I refused to create forged documentation, he threatened to terminate our agreement and sue for defamation." "And did he?" "Yes," answered Ethan. "He attempted to. But I had the evidence. I saved all of my emails." A ripple of gasps filled the room. Kody's defense was in ruins. His face turned red, his eyes darting back and forth between Christine and Ethan. "You're all lying," he shouted. "You're jealous. You're trying to destroy me." But the judge wasn't moved. "Mr. Brown," she said sternly, "sit down. You've had your turn. Now it's time for accountability." The prosecution's closing argument struck deep. "None of this is about reality TV drama or jealousy. This is about trust, financial, emotional, and moral." Kody Brown betrayed all three. Christine covered her face with her hands and tears appeared. Janelle nodded silently in confirmation. Even Meri, once the most devoted, appeared shattered by exposed truth. The whole courtroom was sensing it. It was no longer just a trial anymore. It was the unmasking of the TV myth man behind the screen. The prosecutor showed the final piece of evidence, a video deposition of one of Kody's own children, and the silence was complete. It was Garrison Brown. On screen, Garrison's quiet voice, "Dad said we'd all own a part of Coyote Pass someday. But I discovered he sold the property that we were to inherit to pay off debts he incurred with Robyn. I attempted to speak to him. He said I was being inconsiderate." Even the judge seemed shaken. The jurors gaped at the screen incredulously. Robyn buried her face in her hands, weeping silently. Kody looked away, face set in a mask, but streaming with tears he couldn't help any longer. The video faded, and the courtroom was silent for a full 30 seconds. No whisper, no cough, just oppressive, collective shock. Then the judge leaned forward, voice low but forceful. "Mr. Brown, after hearing this testimony and examining the evidence, I am left with only one conclusion." Kody stiffened, trying to maintain his composure. The judge went on, "You didn't just betray your family, you betrayed every person who believed in your story." She raised the gavel, but before she could bring it down, Kody's attorney stood up, his face white. "Your Honor, before sentencing, my client would like to make a statement." The crowd gasped. Kody got up slowly, his face dark and unreadable. The first words from Kody Brown's lips would determine it all. His liberty, his wealth, and his reputation. The courtroom was silent enough. You could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights above. All eyes were on Kody Brown as he stood up painfully slowly. His hands shook a little, but his face was different now. No longer defensive or angry, but empty, shattered. The judge leaned back, eyeing him intently. "You may continue, Mr. Brown," she stated calmly. Kody tightened his tie, glanced around the room, at Christine, at Janelle, at Meri, and finally at Robyn. Then he took a deep breath. "To your honor," he started, voice heavy with emotion. "I know everybody in here is convinced that I am some sort of monster. Possibly they are correct. I have done things wrong, more than I can number. But I was not born this way. I did not set out to harm anybody." He swallowed hard. The courtroom fell silent. "When I started this family," Kody went on, "I felt as though I was called. I felt like I was doing something greater than myself, something spiritual, something that would last forever. I wanted to show the world wrong. But somewhere along the way, the dream became business." Christine's face softened for an instant. Janelle dashed away tears. Kody continued, "TLC came knocking, and next thing we knew, we were famous. People were talking about us like we were heroes or villains. And I figured, maybe I can use that. Maybe I can set up our future. But money will change people. It changed me." Kody's voice broke as he continued. "I began moving money years ago, not because I wished to deceive anyone, but because I was afraid. I saw the show dying, the contracts dwindling, the fans turning against us. I thought if I could keep hold of the money, I could keep hold of the family. I convinced myself it was for protection." He gazed straight at the prosecutor. "Protection became greed though." Gasp ran through the courtroom. Christine lowered her head, muttering something on the underside of her breath. Robyn had her hands over her face, sobbing silently. "I assured Robyn that we were safe," Kody whispered. "I assured her the accounts were real. I told her not to question anything. And she believed me, because I had made her believe me." Robyn's sob caught in her throat. "You lied to me, Kody. You lied to everyone." Kody's shoulders fell. "I know." He glanced at Christine, then Janelle and Meri. "You were my partners, my wives, my friends. You gave me everything. Your time, your faith, your hearts. And I repaid you with manipulation. I believed I was supporting us, but I was only getting us deeper in." He paused, looking at the judge. "When the funds ceased to flow, I panicked. Coyote Pass land became my fixation. I figured if I could develop it, sell it, and reinvest, I'd correct everything. But here's the reality. Years ago I lost control. I used joint money without anyone's approval. I concealed obligation. I misrepresented taxes. I even went so far as to forge loan documents to maintain the facade." The judge furrowed his brow. "You're admitting to falsifying federal loan documents?" Kody nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. I did them all. Every single one of them they accused me of. I did them. I thought I could get away with it before anyone caught me. The gallery gasped in unison. For years, fans had accused Kody of covering behind his excuses and charm. But now, under oath, he was revealing every lie himself. The judge leaned over, examining him. Mr. Brown, are you voluntarily making this confession? Yes, Kody replied. Because the truth has to be spoken, even if it kills me. Kody spun around completely to Robyn. You were the only one who was there for me. The only one who thought I was doing the right thing. But I pulled you into something black. I borrowed against your name. You had no idea. But your credit, your accounts, your good name. I borrowed against them all. To transfer money. Robyn's eyes widened in shock. You? What? Kody's voice cracked again. You're not guilty, Robyn. I am. But I knew the banks would approve quicker. If I used your good record. I said to myself I'd correct it. Before anyone caught on. She shook her head in shock. You said it was for the family. You promised me. Kody was broken. I know. And I broke that promise. Christine sprang to her feet, crying openly. You didn't just betray Robyn. Kody, you betrayed all of us. Every single one of us who ever believed in that stupid dream. The judge slammed her gavel down. Mrs. Brown, please sit down. Christine slumped back into her seat, shaking with rage. Kody wiped his face, his voice shaking but loud. I'm not looking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. But I want you all to understand. This wasn't about money. It was about fear. I was afraid of losing control, of being obsolete, of being alone. I thought that if I could just keep the land, I could keep my family. He looked at the judge once more. But I was wrong. You can't purchase love. You can't compel loyalty. You can't sign agreements to keep people together. The courtroom fell silent. Even the judge appeared to be temporarily shaken. Mr. Brown, she said quietly, do you comprehend the seriousness of what you've confessed? Yes, Kody said. And I accept whatever follows. For the very first time, Kody wasn't accusing TLC, his wives, or the system. He was accusing himself. The prosecutor approached. Your Honor, on the basis of this confession and the evidence heard, we ask for immediate sentencing. The judge nodded deliberatively. Very well. She addressed Kody. Mr. Brown, sit down please. As Kody took a seat, the burden of all he'd revealed weighed him down. He appeared smaller, not the secure patriarch America once saw, but a man who had at last confronted his own mirror. Robyn bawled uncontrollably. Christine clung to Janelle for strength. Meri sat stock still, her complexion ashen but firm. The judge paused for a very long time before she spoke. Mr. Brown, due to your own admission and the prevailing evidence, this court will be moving on to sentencing. However, before I reveal my verdict, I have one final question for you. Kody raised his head, his eyes bloodshot. Yes, Your Honor. She came forward leaning over her desk. Where is the remaining $4.6 million that still hasn't been accounted for? Kody froze. His lips curled into a tiny O, but nothing issued forth. The courtroom erupted in a whisper of murmur. The judge rapped her gavel. Order! Everyone believed the tale was over, but this question revealed a new chapter in Kody's collapse. The camera flashes flashed. The crowd leaned forward. The secret about the missing millions, and Kody's ultimate deception, was about to be revealed. The judge's inquiry, where is the rest of the $4.6 million, rang out across the courtroom, like a clap of thunder. Kody stood there, his eyes racing wildly around the room, as if looking for an exit that wasn't there. Robyn's mouth quivered. Christine leaned forward, her voice just above a whisper. Tell them, Kody. Tell them where it is. Kody gulped. It's complicated, he whispered. Complicated? The prosecutor retorted. Mr. Brown, the court has identified 15 million of the 19 you embezzled. There were phony invoices, shell accounts, and real estate transactions. But 4.6 million went into thin air. Now you either explain where it is, or we'll take it to be hidden in a bank abroad. The air in the room was filled with tension. Cameras zoomed in on Kody's face, droplets of sweat glistening under the fluorescent lights. Kody finally addressed the judge, voice low but shaking. It's gone. Every penny. The judge raised an eyebrow. Gone where? Kody's hands trembled as he extended them to grab a folder on the table. It was never intended for me, he said. I used it to bribe people. The ones who assisted in covering my tracks. The ones who remained silent. I figured if I could keep them quiet, Perhaps I could preserve what little reputation I had remaining. Gasps filled the air. The prosecutor scowled. Are you admitting to bribery, Mr. Brown? Kody paused. Yes, but it's not what you think. He glanced down at the folder and opened it. Faded copies of checks, handwritten notes, and wire transfers greeted him inside. Names that dropped Christine's jaw. Wait, Christine said, getting up. Those are people from the network. You paid TLC staff. Kody nodded slowly. A few. Not everyone knew, but some did. I wanted them to bury the audits, delay the financial reviews, make it look like I was just behind on paperwork. Retention booster. The courtroom gasped. Kody's scandal had just grown beyond his family. It had reached the network that made him famous. The judge's voice cut through the whispers. Mr. Brown, are you implying that TLC employees were part of a cover-up of your financial offenses? Yes, Kody whispered. But they did not know the extent of it. I told them it was for restructuring legally. I lied to them as well. The judge settled into his chair, expression impossible to read. This just went from being a family fraud case to a federal investigation. Christine leaned over and whispered to Janelle. He's pulled everybody down with him. Kody's face was white. Your Honor, he spoke quietly. I don't care what they do to me anymore. I just want my children safe. They didn't deserve it. None of them did. The judge examined him. Do your children have any idea what you've done? Kody avoided his eyes. No, and I hope they never do. Christine dissolved. They already know, Kody. They saw their father become a stranger. You think they haven't felt it? The money, the lies, the coldness, they've lived it. Robyn sobbed hysterically now. Janelle balled her fist. Meri gazed straight ahead, her voice trembling. You could have come clean years ago. You could have saved us all. Kody lowered his head. I couldn't, I was too proud. I kept telling myself I could fix it. The judge nodded slowly, and then to the bailiff. Bring in the financial examiner. A woman of about 50 approached the witness stand, poised, self-assured. Your Honor, she said. We conducted one last forensic sweep of Mr. Brown's accounts last night. We discovered a private trust fund in Wyoming in his oldest son's name, for $4.60 million. The courtroom exploded. Kody stared up in surprise. What? No. That wasn't supposed to. Christine swung around to face him, her eyes burning. You stashed the money under your kid's name. Kody shook his head frantically. It wasn't for me. I wanted to leave something for them, for all of them, in case everything went wrong. I couldn't stand the idea of them losing everything because of my mistakes. The judge's tone was stern. You established an illegal trust in a family member's name to cover up stolen funds. Do you realize that this is additional fraud? Kody's voice cracked. Yes, but it wasn't greed. It was guilt. Retention booster. The viewers at home could sense the dilemma. A father's desperation matted with dishonesty. A desperate act of love warped into a crime. The judge breathed deeply. Mr. Brown, you've pled to fraud, forgery, and bravery. You've done serious damage to your family, your investors, and the public. And yet, this court acknowledges that you have complied and confessed. Kody's eyes went up slightly, a flicker of hope. The judge went on. You will receive 8 years in federal prison, with the possibility of parole after 5. You are also directed to pay back the entire $19 million in restitution, including the $4.6 million in the trust, which will be taken immediately. Kody's shoulders fell. His lips trembled as he mouthed, 8 years. The gavel came down. The sound was like the end of an age. Robyn shouted, No, please, Your Honor. He's not a criminal. He's just lost. Christine shook her head. He's not lost, Robyn. He's finally found. As the guards drew near, Kody glanced back at his family. Tell the kids I'm sorry, he whispered. Tell them I tried to make it right. Christine whispered. You could have made it right before it was too late. Robyn reached for his hand as they led him away, tears streaming. I'll wait for you, she said. But Kody didn't answer. His eyes stayed on the floor as the doors closed behind him. The courtroom emptied slowly, heavy with silence. The reporters rushed out, cameras flashing, microphones buzzing with one headline already forming. Kody Brown sentence. $16 million fraud scandal ends in tears and prison time. Christine was standing by the stairs, staring out the window. Perhaps now, she whispered to Janelle, all of us can finally move forward. Even in defeat, Kody's tale had one sobering truth. Power constructed on a foundation of lies always falls. That evening, video of Kody being walked to a waiting van aired on every news channel. But what the viewers weren't able to see was the stillness before he went inside. When he gazed up at the star-filled night sky, breathed in the cool air, and whispered, "Perhaps this is how I finally come to terms with it." The door closed behind him, and the screen went black. What do you think? Was Kody's confession redemption or another manipulation? Comment below your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more Sister Wives courtroom stories revealing what really happens when love, money, and fame clash.